All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Hustle, where we talk about what it really takes to build, create, and lead without burning out or losing yourself. And here we turn pain into purpose, bust the myths that keep women stuck, and give our audience real tools to build without burnout, all while living a life rooted in purpose. And on this show, people feel seen, heard, and appreciated, and they leave knowing that they're not alone and that there are other women out there doing it their way and that they can too. And if you're here, it's because your story matters. You're doing powerful work in the world, and that story has the power to wake someone up, shift their perspective, and help them take their next step. Today's guest is Renee Cafaro. I'll give her just a super brief bio and then we'll jump right in. Let's give a warm welcome to Renee. Hello, Renee.
Hey. Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. So, Renee is a political strategist turned fashion editor turned couture designer. She's also an activist. She is the founder of Renee Cafaro Atelier and a disruptor in the plus size fashion space, building high end fashion that fits real bodies. She's dressed celebrities on red carpets, created a patent pending game changer dress for fuller bust, and she's done it all while giving back to causes that matter, from garment worker rights to body equity. But what I love most about Renee isn't just the fashion or the features, it's her belief in collaboration over competition, her refusal to gatekeep, and her commitment to building something better, not just for herself, but for every woman who's ever felt like she didn't belong. So I would love to welcome you, Renee. And I mean, I was excited because I recently had the honor of attending your New York Fashion Week show, and it was incredible. So, what you showcased was super powerful. Congratulations. I would love to hear more about that and take us back in your own words. What inspired you to even get into fashion?
Thank you. Wow, that's quite the lead up. Thank you so much for all the kind words. Yeah, I think what if we're starting from the beginning, we are gonna have to go back to the '90s, in like 1993, '94, and I was about 10. And I was really obsessed with old movies. My mom used to watch a lot of old movies, and there was one in particular, Funny Face, with Audrey Hepburn, and notably Givenchy did the entire costume direction, but really it has a lot of homages to Elsa Schiaparelli. Now, Schiaparelli and Daniel Roseberry are kind of like very well known now, but I think a lot of people don't know what the history is and who Elsa Schiaparelli was. Not only was she Coco Chanel's nemesis and a really good person, and anti-fascist and very cool, but she also invented shocking pink. And so there's a whole thing about pink, shocking pink in that movie. And it's all about, the fashion. And I just got kind of obsessed with the idea and just thought it was the coolest, most glamorous thing. And I'd probably been sketching dresses and dreaming up things. I don't know, since I could probably finger paint. But then it really, codified at that point. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have anyone who was supportive. I was, to be fair, I think that the people close to me were trying to protect me from what, frankly, is probably the truth in the '90s, which was there's no place for fat girls in fashion. Like, even if I didn't even think of the idea. I didn't know what plus size fashion was. I knew it was the chubby kid. I knew it was like hard for me to find clothes and all that. But I didn't really know what plus size fashion meant, and I just wanted to do the art. I wanted to do the fashion. But even if I was doing size two, samples, there was so much stigma. It's not like Karl Lagerfeld would have hired me. So, it became apparent that chubby girls can be like the smart girl, they could be the funny girl, but very rarely allowed to be the fashionable girl, the chic, or the sexy girl. So I wanted to be the smart girl. I was very young. I always call myself like a has been, like a former child prodigy. I went to Stanford. I just was just about to turn 16. I transferred there. I went to college at 15, and went in political science. So I was at Stanford talking about political psychology, and went into labor unions, went into campaigns, moved to New York and did all of that. So I had a whole other career. And fashion to me was like a pipe dream. It's like dreaming up that you're going to win a Grammy and you want to be a rock star, that kind of thing. And it's like, oh, you can never, like, I can't really do fashion. And now it's too late for me. And I didn't go to fashion school. So there's no way for me to be able to do this, even though there's a lot of self-taught skills I had. So that's where it started. And, in the pandemic, I was able to sort of get it started. The silver lining of quarantine, actually where we met,
Yes,
working on
that's when it started.
yeah, working on hospital gowns and masks that we could donate to the hospital systems that were in dire need in March of 2020 in the New York area. And then from there, just kept working with collaboration of a couple of people, yourself included, to via Zoom and mail.
Yes.
And I was in my late 30s. I'm now 41, but I was in my mid to late 30s and doing my dream from childhood. So it's never too late to change your change your path. But it's just something that I was drawn to as a form of art and expression, not about like trends and stuff. It was really just the beauty and the movement of clothing, like the physical movement of the garment. So that stuff really mattered to me, and that's where it came from.
Thanks so much for sharing. It's just an incredible story, and all the things that you've done, continue to do. And it's a follow-up question, because was there a specific moment, if the industry isn't going to create space for people like me, I'm going to build it myself. So when was that turning point? Because I remember, oh my goodness, it was like yesterday with the hospital gowns, and then
I don't know how it's
to
5 years since all that. I mean, it's crazy.
yeah.
But how did when did I have my aha moment? Kind of.
Yeah.
Um,
When was it like, I'm gonna do it myself? Like, I'm gonna build this space because it needs to be built.
I mean, this was something that was in the back of my mind for a while. I mean, um, when I started I had a fashion blog under a pseudonym because I didn't want the political people to think I was flaky. I was always kind of getting my like fashion fix on the side. I'd been writing about travel and fashion for a lot of different outlets, and like Yahoo and Huffington Post, a lot of things like that. And then when I got into Slink, actually, Slink magazine at the time was the premier print plus size magazine, and it was like Vogue for plus. It was extremely elevated, very 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 well done, based in Britain, and I was all over them. Because I felt like nothing worked, like nothing was right for me and what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a VIP. I wanted to see luxury. I just felt like plus size was always a stratosphere below the rest of high fashion. Even our nicer stuff was like, these are cute designs, they're nice, but they're made out of like extremely cheap stuff. They're going to fall apart. They're mass produced. Or if I was able to get something expensive, luxury, like real genuine natural fibers, real silk, things like that, from like Marina Rinaldi and stuff like that, they were just very matronly. So I'd still have to take it and then make it my own. And I'm spending all this money just to upcycle it into something that I would want to wear. So, I've been trying to push for my own space and sort of trailblaze into an area, even through writing. So I've been doing it even before I started with the company, but it's because it's been in the back of my mind forever. It's like, I feel like I'm a jet set, big city New Yorker. I'm a little too old for the fast fashion and the club wear, but I don't think I'm ever going to be the person who wants the stuff that my mom wears. And, I do want to celebrate my body and my curves. What was out there for sort of the young up and coming professionals who are also on the dating scene and want to go from being taken seriously to going for, a good cocktail for a date. There wasn't clothes for that. And so I've had to sort of make do and make my own most of my life and cobble things together. So what I ended up doing is in 2020, that was when it finally fell in my lap that I couldn't have any more excuses. I had been waiting for a moment and actually in January of 2020, before the pandemic, I was actually covering Couture Fashion Week in Paris for the magazine, and went and bought some fabric in the Sacre-Cœur district, and was thinking, I just sat there by myself. It's really cliche, I get it, but like, you know, when you have an epiphany in Paris by yourself, but it's like a movie cliche. But I was like, okay, even if I just do one show and it's just performance art, you know, I'm going to do something, you know, so I can say to myself, you know, I gave it a shot. I got to design that one time. I got to see something I really wanted to do, and get, you know, basically get to sort of childhood fix, you know, out of my, you know, out of my mind, and just, you know, do it. It was supposed to be a one time deal. Um, and then when quarantine happened, I'm like, I don't have any more excuses. Like, I have nowhere to go. I have nothing better to do than to actually finally blaze this trail, and just and make something. I wasn't really sure it was going to turn into a brand, but it was an opportunity for me to finally brain dump all of the amazing ideas that I, you know, I've been kind of filing away as pipe dreams and Shark Tank ideas for years.
And I just want to say, commend you on the powerful bravery that it takes to turn your vision into reality. Because to me, that's what really inspires so many people, and especially everyone that's watching, everyone that's watching the replay, because we have these ideas, pipe dreams, but you can execute them. It's going and taking that next step, which is my next question is, what is one of the hardest fears you had to walk through to keep going with this? Because, you know, it's, we execute, then we keep going. And, you know, as I do with building a small business, but even more than that, a purpose driven business. Because I believe when you have a vision that's bigger than you, and you do in every aspect, what is one of the hardest fears you've had to walk through to keep going? And we have
Um,
questions follow up too. So
I think that number one was definitely imposter syndrome. It's like, I know what there is to know about fashion history and all the terminology and stuff. Because I mean, I've been working with alterations places and stuff to figure out, you know, how to make things bigger since I was about, you know, high school. So like, I know what all these terms mean. I know what all the fabric names are, and I know what a gusset is. Like, I know what these things are. So like, I knew a lot, but I feel like I didn't have the pedigree. And that the, you know, in my other career, I had very much so done it the right way, and or the right way. And I think at this point there's no right way of anything anymore. But sort of the old way of like, you go to school for this thing, you're trained for this thing, you have a degree in this thing, you climb this ladder. And you know, I realized I was climbing a ladder. I didn't even know why I was climbing it. It was just kind of in my nature to climb things. And you know, if there's a goal, I'm going to go for it. So being an extremely type A perfectionist kind of person, that was actually the hardest thing, was believing in myself and realizing that what my vision is worthy, and that I don't have to be classically trained at the Sorbonne or at Parsons in order to have something valuable to bring to the world. And once I got into this, I realized that, you know, there really wasn't anything to fear, because I got some misconceptions about what this industry was like. And you know, I'm realizing now with people that are much bigger than me, they're doing it the same way that I am. I mean, they have more money, so a lot of these people are in house for them, but you know, they have an idea, and then they have actually some things that I don't do. It's like, I don't have assistant designers. I'm the only creative director. Um, you know, we're seeing these big brands and how they have like entire teams of people who come up with the collection idea, and then underneath there's another you know, layer, the org chart of people all sewing the stuff, and all these unsung heroes. And the way that we all see it as normal people reading about Fashion Week, you know, growing up reading the magazines, you'd think that it's just like whoever's name's on that label, like they're the ones toiling and making all this happen. And, you know, yes, it's big now, so they can have people working for them. But when it comes down to it, they're the ones who know how to drape. They're the ones who can make and sew every little last thing, which is true for some. But I definitely have learned that there are several large names and that haven't touched a sewing machine in, I don't even know how long. Uh, so, or haven't at all. So, and then we're also in the world of influencers and licensing your name and stuff. And everyone's calling themselves a designer just by doing collaborations. And that's a very different kind of thing as well. So like I realized, what do I have to worry about? Like there's so many different pathways in here. And a lot of it is smoke and mirrors already. So like I got to see behind the mask. It's definitely not Devil Wears Prada. Something a lot less glamorous and a lot less elite. And I mean that actually in a good way. I actually think there's a lot more accessibility and honesty, and hustling has, grappling with things in the fashion industry than I think the average person realizes.
Yeah, and that's the thing that people don't see is all the behind the scenes, because people only see the end, the results, the fashion week, the product that's done, people wearing the clothes, but it's everything behind. And then overcoming that fear too of imposter syndrome. We've all had it. I've had it. All of us. And I'm sure for all of you in the replay, watching the replay or on the live, let me know down in the comments below if you've ever experienced it and what is something specific that you did to help to overcome it. But yes, kudos to you, Renee, to continue to go regardless. And that's what I love. This is powerful. You had the vision, you executed, and you figured it out with the resources and kept going, because a lot of us stop because, well, we're not sure, we don't have all the details or the understanding of what to do next.
Or they
No.
don't even start
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they don't know those things, and it's scary. But like as maybe this phrase is overused, but the whole "do it scared" thing. Yes, I mean, do it scared. I mean, they literally, if there's anything we should have learned in 2020 is that life is short. Life is short. A lot of things aren't guaranteed, and if you have any ability to go after a dream, I was very privileged in the fact that I was home in quarantine safely and could just manage to do this. But and use money from a prior career to kind of help and dip into savings and things like that to start off. But you can start as small as you need to at any of your dreams. Just what I hear so often from folks is just like, yeah, well, I mean, I know, but I can't. It's just too hard. Or like, you can just get yourself tangled in endless excuses, because it's not even excuses. Like there's always legitimate reasons. Like, it's too expensive. It's too hard. I'm burnt out already. All those things are true. And they'll always remain to be true in the late stage capitalism that we're in right now. Everyone's burnt out. Like, I do not want to be one of those, like, was it toxically positive people?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
No.
I absolutely cannot stand the folks who say, like, oh, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. No, we do not.
No, we don't.
No, we do not.
No, we
I
don't.
mean, that is an extremely privileged statement. I mean, a lot of other people
Yes.
don't have the same 24 hours because, they are working multiple jobs. It takes them longer to go by train, but someone else can take shortcuts and, take an Uber or whatever. So like, I don't want to be, saying things like that, where it's just like, just go out there and do it. Anyone can do it. No, I mean, it is hard. It is hard. But on your deathbed, are you going to be like wishing you would at least tried? I mean, it doesn't have to be a wild success either. Like, this is how it started with me. It's like, even if I just do like one show or I make like 4 samples, then I could just be proud of myself. And I really thought that's how it was going to end. It was like, I had a couple of samples and I can put them in a closet, sock it away the rest of my life and look at it and be like, oh, remember that I did that? Oh, that's from that one time I did that thing. And then just kind of the universe sort of lined up for me and was able to get a couple of breaks that made this feasible to be a brand. But just try something. If you're not feeling, if you're satisfied in your life and you're stagnated and trapped in whatever job you have and you're just yearning, if thinking about something makes you cry, like it makes you choked up wishing, if you're pining for something, that's your calling. And you owe it to yourself to try to do something about it. even if it's not quitting your job and doing this full time, you have to do something. It could be a little Etsy store. It could be,
Yeah.
putting together a little Instagram about it, some sort of outlet for you. And I think we all have our thing that we've put in our back of the mind is like, oh, we could never do that. But those are things that like make life worth living.
And I believe that's everyone, some really great things that you just shared, because there's many things that you can do this week to step into that next, whatever you want to do, whatever you're still yearning for. So many good things that you hit on, Renee. Okay, so I got some more questions. Hold on. So, well, one thing is, what are you working on now? Because you just showed up Fashion Week. And I did want to bring up, because you created something, because this is huge. The game changer. I
Yes.
want to talk about that because that's huge. You created something that was a need, and I'm going to let you take it away.
I mean, I'm actually super proud of it. It's so funny. I'm actually going to grab this from back here.
Yeah,
Um,
please.
so this is like a thing that I found at a NASA Space Center that I'm going to share with you guys that I keep at my office.
Oh,
Inventors,
yes.
patents, and products, and it's a woman. And I had to get this postcard because that's actually the thing I'm most proud of is that um, I'm actually more drawn to the concept of being like an inventor, a problem solver, engineering stuff that people can use more so than just being like, I'm a fashion designer and everything I go to is VIP and fabulous. Like, that's, I mean, that's got its perks too, but that's not as exciting to me as, I'm so, so proud of the game changer. Back when I was in politics, actually in '09, one of our deputy secretaries for the state, and she was the deputy sec of gaming, was going on a vacation. She's going to do a solo trip to Rome. And she's like, does anybody want to come with me? And I'm like, you know what? Like, I haven't taken a vacation like it ever, ever at that point, government kind of ruled my life. And I was like, sure. I had all this money stashed up from not being able to, I was too busy to spend it. So took a vacation with her to Rome, my first time checking that out. And we did all the touristy things. And it was at that trip that I realized that I was mad that I couldn't pack as light as she did. We're trying to go to the Vatican, but I had to wear something, below the knees. And I'm like, but it's 100 degrees outside. So I'm like, man, someone should come up with a way to have like a dress that like hikes up short. It's sort of like the zip off pants idea the guys have, but like for dresses. And I was like, what can I do to make things short, but then long if you needed it to be a different occasion? Something that packs flat, something that I don't need a strapless bra for, some of the wicks away moisture with boob sweat, like all these ideas I compiled and I wrote it down in a hotel notepad and kind of socked that away for like, someone should do this, but never thought it would be me. So 11 years later, it was me ripping up my bras and random things I had at home and kind of like Frankenstein putting it together. And then mailing it to you, I believe, in a inside state. And when that just started kind of like riffing back and forth on how to make it actually work. I knew what it was supposed to look like. And then it was down to fabric choices. It's not just 4-way stretch, what does it need to be? And I wanted to do the super soft elastic on the inside so you don't have those red strap marks. Like everything I hated about strapless bras and travel clothes, I wanted to fix. So and the game changer was originally called the convertible dress. And we had that and we had a motorcycle jacket and I brought it to 11 Honore. And they were looking for some indie designers and more indie brands. And I'm like, look, I have this thing. I figured out where to make it in the garment district. I want to make things like ethically fair wage fashion in the garment district. So it's going to be a luxury price point. It would make sense for you guys. These are the great artisans and places that make the samples for like DVF and all the biggest names ever that get their sample cells here, then go and once they figure it out, they take that sample set to overseas and get it made at a much lower quality. A lot of people don't realize that. But I'm like, I want to do this. If you'd give me a shot for one of your virtual trunk shows. And they actually said yes. So I quickly had to spin up an LLC and a plan. We fit the original 5 sizes on probably 15 to 20 different models to sort of make sure that we got like a nice aggregate amount of what the body measurement would be, try to make sure it was fitting the way I really wanted it to for everybody. I'm a 42G and I was the original fit model, obviously. So fitting this in quarantine, I thought, just keep going until I feel comfortable in them and they're not jiggling around and I don't feel obscene. And if they can hoist these puppies, they can do basically anything. And we ended up having the biggest trunk show they'd ever had. So much so they ended up using my professional Zoom because they couldn't hold as many people in the Zoom that they had. And we sold, I believe, 75 or 80 dresses in that first hour. And at that point I was like, oh, I have something. It's real. At that point I had NDAs already for everyone working on the project. I knew I had something special. And, I filed the patent stuff before anything else really. And after a few years, the patent process, unless you really have something you absolutely just know in your soul you don't want to ever see somebody else steal, it's really cumbersome and expensive, I'm going to say, legal fees and all the rest of it. So that took me a few years. We're still waiting for our final portion of the, we have two, sides of the patent in the US, but we've already been awarded it in the UK and Canada, and we've gotten most of everything we need for the US. We've gotten it's sort of like there's design patents and there's use patents. And so we have one and the other one's pending. So we've been doing a lot of that work and it's amazing to me. I mean, I have something that is patented places. And I am very, 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 very proud of it, and named itself the Game Changer once it came out. And I started giving it to bloggers and try to get out there for people to review and come do try-ons and stuff like that. And the first headlines or blogger reels were like, oh my God, this dress is such a game changer. Oh, this is a game-changing built-in bra dress. And so that phrase game changing or game changer kept coming up. So I'm like, I guess I think I rename it. So it's been the Game Changer, from the first couple of months it came out. I quickly changed the name because it sort of emerged.
Oh man, that's incredible. Can we just get a round of applause because it's incredible. Fashion designer, inventor, that is, and you are literally everything that postcard said is exactly what you are and more. So and then one thing, because I always like to ask the reciprocity highlights, how in spotlights to see how people are giving back. And you do that in so many ways. One thing you had mentioned is connecting stylists with the right fit, even if it's not you. Can you go a little bit more why that's important to you and how that's different in the fashion industry with how you're doing things?
I think not just the fashion industry, but I feel like everywhere we've gotten really away from the sense of community and really into the idea of hyper individualism and gatekeeping, and everyone's got their thing, and I get it. You got to gatekeep if that's your only form of survival. You don't want to share or lose any business. But to me, I want to do the right thing, because I think that at least I hope, by doing the right thing, you're able to have a certain integrity and that you build trust with people and that they will come back. So I might have lost that gig, but hopefully they realize that I'm honest enough and try to work with them that they will come back and I'll get another job. A lot of people ask me if I was pitching for this past Met Gala, and I'm like, absolutely not. I mean, it's to highlight, the history of Black fashion. And I'm like, I have no business trying to do anything of this. I mean, that's happened to, or I've had wonderful, women of color that I've worked with that I'm more than happy to do things for them for any event. But when it's for something like NAACP Image Awards or something, a lot of times I'm like, I don't feel comfortable reaching out to those stylists and pitching for that event, because I feel like that's an event that should be highlighting women of color who are designers, people of color who are designers. So sometimes when those things have come across my desk, I'm like, this isn't the right fit for me either, because there is a sort of an ethical reason that I want to make sure that the correct demographic is being spotlit and I'm not just stepping on anyone's toes. But also, the silhouette, like I don't do a lot of full or puffy sleeves or any of that stuff. So if someone wants something that it's not really my wheelhouse, I can do pretty much any aesthetic. But if I think that there's someone that I think is way better, that is another small business like that I think is also usually, I only recommend good people that I like, people that I've worked with, people I've known, and I'll make those connections. And I know I've had other designers and brands be a little surprised by that. They're like, oh, you're sending someone to me? They came to you first? I'm like, yeah, but I want the right fit. Like you are, and like you deserve a platform too, because I believe that like together we all rise. Like, there's enough room on every major shopping street in every major city. There's enough room on Fifth Avenue or in these luxury malls for all these different brands, the same price points for the straight sizes. Why should the plus sizes be any different? We all have a little something different to offer. And even those of us who are a little similar in what our customer demographic would be, if we have a similar aesthetic, there's always room for this. No one, not even, I don't even wear my own clothes all the time. I mean, I am today, but like, it's like you shop all these different places. So, trying to have a stranglehold on your consumer base is just silly to me. To me, if we can get everybody more popular and in a state where they can get investors and the people will take us seriously, and then we all rise to the top.
I 100,000% agree with that. That is really rare, and to really be open to doing that. And I feel like if we were doing that more often, that there would be more sense of community and more opportunities instead of just, it's like, I know when I was in the fashion industry in those years, it's like they don't want to tell you where they got their fabrics at. They don't want to tell you what store they're in, even though you can find it on their internet. And the gatekeeping, really, it's a disservice to everyone. And how much more, just like you said, that we can rise together and imagine the collaborations.
Yeah, and well, you say the word collaborations, and so often that just means um, a a social media transaction or a money transaction. People use collaboration all the time, and like, oh, we're going to collab on this, and it's like, okay, but collabs to me a lot of times feel a little one way. Sometimes they aren't. I've been really lucky that I found some really great people to collab with. I do them very, very rarely. A lot of times because I'm too small to afford some of these folks. So I have to do it, be very judicious by, who I choose to do collabs with for my money. But, collaboration should mean something more than a brand deal of, you buy an ad space of their reel or whatever. It really should be a two-way street of collaborating on the daily, even if there's not money at stake. It's just something that we can network with each other and help each other, and help everyone be a little bit better. And if we're not gatekeeping, then we can all have better, pull together for better resources, find things that are more efficient for each other. I'm always trying to give back to the garment center and do everything sort of locally. So I like to tell folks about what they have and to please use them, to buy the fabrics here. So then we can sort of give back to the community physical community that we're in as well.
And that, I believe, is so important moving forward. And speaking about community and supporting each other, how can people support you, your work, your mission?
Please come shop, tell all your friends. Being a small business in this kind of economy right now is very difficult, and I can't compete with the likes of Shein and things like that. So, I just have to realize I'm just part of a different lane. So I'm hoping to find, and I think a lot of those folks are the type of people, sustainable folks that watch you, would probably be my folks that are willing to invest a little bit more into something. We're going to be consuming less, investing more in something that's supposed to last longer,
Yes.
and has a mission, has a purpose, and we really care about where we're spending our dollars and cents these days. And I think that there is a group of people who feel that way, and I have to go after that community because as a whole, just it's a race to the bottom. And, I can't beat someone getting a motorcycle jacket for $12 when I'm paying, that doesn't even pay for 1 hour. That doesn't pay for half of 1 hour of anyone that I work with. So it's really important for people to share. So you can follow me on Instagram at RCA Public Label. So RCA Public Label is our ready to wear. If you want to watch our runway shows or custom couture or bridal and things of that nature, that is at Renee Cafaro Atelier. And you can always find us at contact at reneecafaroatelier.com, or just DM us if you ever need anything at all. I want to be the fashion designer for everybody who feels underserved, in the fashion industry. So if you have something that you're looking for that your chick just can't seem to find, hit us up. Maybe I can help you out.
Yes, thank you so much, Renee. And to add to the note, the fact that what you're doing is ethical, you're not exploiting people, because all those jackets, all those the clothes that are, it's a good deal. It's $12, but when you really see what's behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It's like, on one hand, I know that's kind of the only way some people can afford things too. So
Yeah.
I don't want to shade that. I would like to suggest that people, go to thrift stores and clothing swaps and things of that nature if they can. But I do try to do my best with the bigger the volume, the lower the prices I can get. So the more I can get out there, if I can get my viral moment and get a big wholesale order or something of that nature, then I can try to bring my prices down for everyone. I would not just keep my profit margin expanding. I would literally lower my prices if my costs can go down, because I'm trying so hard to get this out here, and I understand that it's hard in this economy, and we do have afterpay and things like that. So
Good. Thank you so much for sharing that. And your story is such a reminder that leadership is about building the thing you needed, not waiting for permission. You went and did it. And for our audience who's ready to repurpose their life, their hustle, what's one last piece of advice you'd leave with them?
Believe in yourself, and stay authentic, and not palatably authentic. This is a lesson I'm learning right now. This past collection was the first time I just never cared about what was marketable, what people wanted to see. I did what I thought I was supposed to be doing with all of the experts that I've listened to and classes I've taken, etc. It's always some panel discussion about this stuff, and don't get confused by all of that. Follow your intuition and your heart and your authenticity. And I just am getting more interest and traction. I feel like this was more moving to people this year than it had been any other year. Even if your authenticity is a little messy, I know I've been told that. They're like, be authentic. And then they're like, ooh, not like that, because it's political and it's this and it's too many things. But people are too many things. Life is too many things.
That's right.
So, maybe try to tune out some of the chatter and really focus in on yourself and what you really, really want to do, and put that first, instead of all the woulda, coulda, shouldas. And I always do a little decision tree, and this is what I'm going to leave you guys with. Something I learned in many years of therapy is the sort of decision tree of when you catch yourself saying, well, I have to do this. You stop and you're like, well, have to? Or am I expected to? So it's like, I have to eat, and I have to breathe and take care of myself or sleep and pay taxes. But, I don't have to do whatever somebody has asked me. So, really just trying to figure out, like, is this a life or death situation? Do I absolutely have to do what this is? And really try to prioritize stuff, because it's so easy to get caught up with an overwhelming amount of to-dos and people trying to attack your time and drain your energy, and use all your magic for them. And then you're depleted and you don't have anything left. I know that because I've been there. So, take a step back and breathe, and really just try to write down all the things you think are on your plate, and see which ones you really want and what you absolutely have to do, like take care of family or whatever it is, and then build around those two things and clear out all the rest of that clutter.
That is really powerful. So thank you for sharing that. And I think I want to quote that in just one of the clips for sure, because that's super helpful. And I know it's going to be super helpful for so many people. So So as we wrap up, I want to say thank you so much to you, Renee, for sharing so boldly, honestly, authentically. And I love how you said authentically messy. It's like, do all of you, regardless of what it is. And that, I believe that's a very powerful message. And for all of you watching the replay that joined us on the live, thank you. And if Renee's story resonated with you, make sure to share it in your stories, tag us, make sure to follow Renee. I'll make sure to drop all that information in the description down below. And if you're ready to repurpose your hustle into something rooted in clarity, alignment, and purpose, check out more information on Repurpose Your Life. And Renee, thank you so much again for being
Thank
here
you.
and sharing your truth.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love everything that you do and how you helped guide me. And I hope you can guide many other people to their path and declutter their life, repurpose their life, and move forward in their best life ever. So thank you so much for everything that you do. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Renee. And thank you, all of you. And stay tuned for the next Beyond the Hustle.
Thank you.
And